Hello, everybody. Hello. This is going to be a different kind of live stream. Get ready. Let's see. Let's turn this like that so it's facing where I'm going to be facing. How are you doing? Welcome. I'm going to get to YouTube. Oh, and Rob has joined the meeting.
Hey, cool.
Yay. There he is.
There he is. Yay.
Yay. Welcome, everybody. So I have to apologize. This is an unorthodox live stream because I got to look here. I'm using my laptop because the main system SSD on my computer died. So I have had to rebuild everything so that my MacBook Pro could host this. And I've had to buy, oh my gosh, I bought a USB-C device that can power 2 HDMI monitors, 2 USB 2, 2 USB 3, Ethernet, all this stuff. I've had to buy an HDMI input. I've had to get my audio interface working. My Apollo all of a sudden wouldn't start up and work, so I had to get an alternate audio interface, my travel interface with me. So this is a discombobulated but happy to be here live stream. And I'm thrilled. I have some special guests to introduce to you guys. And we have something really exciting and cool and new to show you that I'm very excited about. I've been playing with this a little bit, and you guys are in for a treat. All right, people are in the stream already. Hopefully it doesn't look, I'm going to be looking all over the place because I'm not used to looking at the laptop of my computer. But anyway, welcome. My name is John Lemcool. Hands together, head bowed. Nice to see all of you. This is the Plugin Guru live stream. And I want to point out that this is sponsored by my website, pluginguru.com. And we have a sale going on. Make sure you hit the little red curtains here to go to the sale. There's all sorts of libraries on sale until, I think, the 1st, midnight of the 1st. Including, we've just unified Mega Magic Guitars, Part 1 and 2 for Omnisphere, which are two of my favorite libraries. I'll show those maybe later a little bit, but you can get them for $30 each instead of $50, or you can get both for $50. So it's a really killer deal. All sorts of other stuff. All of Jason Schopfer's libraries, Tim Dale's libraries were added to the sale. They said, hey, put my stuff on sale. So I went, okay. So those got added. Anyway, so that is going on. I hope you all are well. Let me see what the chat is saying. I have this computer, in order to do what I'm doing, the fan runs really loud. Like if I go over to Logic and I turn off Bruce Free, the noise reduction software, right? That's the noise. And Bruce Free is taking it down to pretty minimal. And so if you don't know about this plugin, they just had to send me a new license number for me to get to work. They've updated the interface from the version I had before. This is incredible software. Here's without Bruce Free, and here's with. And so it's reducing in real time live input. You click the little ear, let up on the ear, and then you can control here how much down and the EQ and how smooth it is, all the sorts of parameters you want. But I could pretty much almost totally get rid of it. It changes my voice a little bit, so I'm trying to find the right happy place in there. But you can control the attack, you can control the threshold, the release by just going like this. So it's wonderful for noise reduction. These guys, they have a number of cool plugins. They just added new samples to their Slam plugin. Good guys. So we've got a handful of things to show you. Unify is about to be released with version 1.6. If you notice the little MIDI lights over here, I can now use to turn on and off layers the same way that I am doing that from, I don't know if I have the control set up for my Nano Control, but the Nano Control normally allows me to do this, but now I can do this from the interface. We added that to Unify 1.6, not only for instruments, but also for MIDI effects, so that you can turn off the MIDI effect lights right here. So that has been added. There's other things. We'll talk about all of that when we get there, but it's time to bring on our guests. because they've been patiently waiting on another monitor, listening to me babble, and I think we've had enough time of listening to me babble. I'm here. I'll bring it over. I'm pleased to have Taiho and Rob, our resident geniuses that are behind Mach, Waverazor, and they have something new they've been developing that we get to talk about. So welcome, guys.
Hi, Skippy.
Thanks, Skippy.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, so good to see you guys.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
And it's all rock and roll today because of your new computer setup.
Yes.
So I can't see or hear anything that you're doing other than your voice.
Right. Trust me, it's good.
All right. I definitely trust you.
Yes. So, give us a little background. I was thinking about this a little bit. You guys have been a team in a way for a lot of years. Before Mach, you guys kind of tag teamed with Alesis back in the day, right?
Yeah,
you were product manager and Rob was software development, right?
No, I mean, Rob was a sound designer to start with.
Oh, okay.
And I was a temp at that point. And we were working on the Quadrasynth, which was Alesis's first synthesizer. It was a sample playback synth, and Rob was carving samples, and we hired a bunch of sound designers like Drew Schlesinger and Manny Fernandez, and you know, a bunch of great guys.
Yes.
And you know, I was pretty much assembling sound banks using a data disk and Quadrasynths to kind of, you know, put these banks together. And Rob and Eric Norlander were in this other room, you know, making sure all the samples were good and you know, doing programs themselves. It was pretty fun and interesting times, you know, because like the Quadrasynth was the first 64 voice synthesizer, and you know, used a proprietary Alesis chip to do that you know, like Frank Thompson and Keith Barr put together, and it was, you know, it won a tech award for that year, and it was pretty cool for the time. And then, you know, we, you know, formed this kind of working relationship. I got hired on for real at Alesis, and we ended up, you know, in the same room, and, you know, Rob and I could spin around in our chairs and, you know, talk about synth ideas and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know, Rob, how much do you remember about that time period?
I remember quite a lot, actually. I mean, yeah, I mean, Skippy, you can relate. I think our first job, Eric and I were hired, you know, almost the same time Taiho was brought in.
Right.
And we were working on, you know, patch banks for the original Quadrasynth, as well as taking, you know, the Quadrasynth had a 16 meg ROM, and the new QS was coming out that was going to have an 8 meg ROM. It was a lower cost version of it. And, you know, it's like, take that 2 meg piano and turn it into a 1 meg piano.
Yeah, man.
That was like my first, you know, that was some of my first jobs. You know,
I didn't know your background was in sound design.
Yeah. Before that, I'd done touring, I'd done electronic studio tech work, and I'd also done sound design for film and a little bit of sampler work. And then, you know, the same guy that Taiho and I knew, David Miller, said, "Oh, you know about sound design? We need sound designers." Like, okay, sure, I'll sound design. And that didn't last so long, because I got into like programming tools to make the sound design stuff work. And then Elise was like, "Hey, you can program too." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And now you're a programmer. So I did less sound design and more programming, which was probably to the benefit of everyone, because I'm probably better at that than I am sound design.
Well, you're one of the best I know. So
now Rob is a good sound designer too.
Well, that experience, I mean, I'll say, has really helped, you know, and, you know, in putting synths together, because if you can think from the perspective of a sound designer, you know, even if, you know, a little bit crazy sound designer, it certainly helps to know.
Yes.
You know who you're making.
Well, having a musical background at all, I mean,
Absolutely.
Shane also has that, which is to our benefit for what we do, because
right.
A lot of times he's thinking as a musician and then applying that to how a lot of stuff I see is done software wise by someone that, you know, has never played a note on a keyboard other than just, you know, just playing around. But having background is, I think, wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I started all of this thinking I was going to be a rock star playing synthesizers.
Right.
I was going to be, and just like a lot of people in our industry, you know,
yeah. Right.
We're all, you know, have musical backgrounds, but it turns out that, as you say, it's instrumental.
Yeah.
You know, in creating these, you know, things, because if you don't have that inspiration of a musician or a sound designer or an artist of some kind, you don't,
right.
You know, you don't stumble onto these, you know, really cool, you know, we make mistakes, you know, many times along the way. And it, you know, it takes that creative spirit to recognize that, wow, that's actually cool. That's not
right.
That's not a scientific mistake. That's actually something
right.
that's very artistically cool.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to show a plugin a little bit, which matches that. There's this couple guys that made a thing called SampLab. It takes audio and each note becomes a separate sample that it then plays by velocity. So you can play the phrase back by playing different velocities on a keyboard. It's a weird concept. I've never seen anything like it. And you can make really cool happy accidents all the time with it. So,
right.
So, you know, that's kind of, you know, please use Q frame frequency. Oh, I've got something going on. Stream is healthy. I don't know how to, I'm sorry. My YouTube is telling me something. Guys, do you see, is the video and audio okay for you guys? Someone's saying they still use their Alesis S4 Plus.
Nice.
Oh, cool. We worked on that. Thank you.
Back in the day, you know, I mean, yeah. So now taking that and then moving forward in time, we're now, you have WaveRaiser. And
yeah, that's, there's a lot of years between, those days and
big time.
Yeah.
But now you guys have taken a really interesting leap into something. Everybody says, oh, good. Okay. Because I'm getting a yellow light on YouTube, which means it's not the best of speeds. But then again, it's a MacBook Pro where it's working really hard. So should I show them what you guys have done? Sure. Are we ready for a reveal? Yeah. And then you guys can explain the thought process, where this comes from. Are you guys ready? So this is super cool. I would like to introduce you to Mini Raise. Oh, and it showed up on the wrong screen. So here it is. And where's my interface? There's a way to make the interface bigger, right? In the settings.
You can drag the
corner.
corner.
Oh, that's right. Okay, let's get it to be nice and big. So they're still in development, just to say that. But take a look at something really exciting. It's super, super cool. Let's call up a patch here. Let's go to the factory. I love Atlantis. This is a nice one. Isn't that cool? So, tell us, what is the idea behind this magical plugin, Mini Raise?
Well, Mini Raise takes our wave slicing synthesis, which we developed for WaveRaiser. It's based on a patented oscillator technology that slices up waveforms and recombines them to make new wave shapes. And it's a streamlined version in Mini Raise. There are 2 slices plus the Razor that all these waveforms all interact together to create very strange timbres or
it can get very complex very quickly, for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. There are two really interesting, well, let me focus on three interesting properties. One is that like just changing two halves of a wave has a really interesting effect. It combines the harmonics of the waveforms,
right,
and also sometimes creates a discontinuity in the middle that will generate square wave sort of harmonics.
right,
And all of these combine together to create a complex waveform. Um, but it also sort of matters how you slice up the waves. So there's a third component there, that's the slicer, and that has a frequency to it as well. If you have two waveforms that are discontinuous, and then you change the slicer to be in higher frequencies, it will start generating this thing that we call mutant AM, and that is an amplitude modulation of all the harmonic content in either slice. So you might have harmonics that are the same in both slices, even the fundamental might be the same in both slices, or right, not. And these will modulate on and off according to the slice, creating this sort of tapestry of harmonics that is our mutant AM sound. It can be just like AM, it could be sort of clangorous and inharmonic, yes, or you can have a harmonic relationship if you get into that sort of sweet spot of harmonic ratios.
Right.
So it's a little bit FM feeling in that regard.
Yeah.
And then the last interesting thing that is produced by our oscillator is multi-sync, which is multiple hard sync points within a single cycle or beyond a single cycle, which is a really interesting, different hard sync sound.
Right.
You get a good sort of result if you modulate both of the synced oscillators at different sort of pitches or right, frequencies or amounts, I guess.
Right.
And
right,
so like the harmonic spectra of that sync sound will spread out and overlap and do some interesting stuff that way. So there's that. It's based on that oscillator technology, and we've taken a different approach with Mini-Rays in that we wanted to present it in a very simple and straightforward user interface. And so, we're big fans of the Mini-Moog.
Sure.
That design is so it's so fast.
Yes.
But it still offers so much sonic capability, like a surprising amount.
Yes.
And so we were, deeply inspired by that, and you could probably see it in the design of the top panel.
Yes. It's kind of like a Mini-Moog on steroids at this point. I mean,
yeah.
It's like, what if you had Wave Razor oscillators and more modulation sources and more envelopes and more LFOs and effects. The arpeggiator's built in. It's beautiful, and it has such a great range of sounds to it. It can definitely go places. It can go into your standard Mini-Moog kind of territory quite easily. But what's fun is all the other, like you were talking about, the technical things the oscillators have that are beyond the capabilities of a subtractive synthesizer per se. So,
yeah, I mean, we are still Mach. We go a little bit crazy with the stuff that we put in, but we definitely have this different take with this synthesizer, wanting to make it like very fast and fun to get good results out of.
Yeah.
So, in the oscillator section, you've got 3 oscillators, just like a Mini.
Yes.
And the oscillator 3 is a little special, just like a Mini, and it can be used to right, modulate the filter section.
Right.
And then you have like this, mixer section that is, really modeled on the Mini-Moog, but with a few extra interesting things in there. And, we're not going to talk about everything right now because we're still in development. Yes. But I wanted to point out there's this really cool feature in that mixer section called Ring Math. And it's like
that's
having...
right here, guys. See?
Yeah. It's
all
like
these
having
different algorithms.
Yes. It's like having a ring mod module in there that's being fed by oscillators 2 and 3. And instead of calling it ring mod, we call it ring math because there's a lot of additional operations in there that you can apply. Now, it all sounds really dry and, kind of nerdy, but it ring mod is basically a multiplication of these two waveforms together. But there's a lot more math out there, right? You can get sums and differences and even logic applied to it.
Right.
And, thank goodness Rob understands that stuff because I'm terrible at math. So Rob, maybe can you talk a little bit about how you thought up of all these different algorithms or, what they're doing? Maybe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So ring math was as you know, in WaveRaiser, we can add new filters and effect modules. And so, one day Taiho and I were saying, man, it'd be fun to have a ring mod or something. I don't remember. But so as I started putting the ring mod in, it's like, well, this is really a waste of a module just to do this one mathematical operation. The difference between ring mod and, for example, amplitude mod is just the difference of whether you're going through 0 or positive only. And and Taiho knows this. And if you look at WaveRaiser, you'll get this, this vibe where we go crazy. It's like, okay, well, one mathematical operation is not enough. And it's like, wow, imagine all of these different things we could do. And what if we, made the carrier bipolar and, just use the Boolean logic of the modulator? What does that sound like?
Right.
So in WaveRaiser, I think we probably have about 40 different math operations or something. And we boiled it down to the best settings, for mini rays.
Right.
But that's what it was. It was just taking all of those, once you're smashing two signals together, there's all kinds of wonderful things you can do, at that intersection beyond just, the multiplication that ring mod is.
Yeah.
And they yield, and that amount is tailored for every mathematical operation so that, maybe when one is bipolar and the other one is being rectified in a certain way, I've also programmed the levels so that it actually makes musical sense as you're turning up, the amount of that.
Right.
And it's just fun with math.
It's a whole new toy box to explore,
you get some really crazy sounds out of that as like it's almost a fourth oscillator for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very exciting. I've had a few headaches from working with it just because it has some really cool places. There's so many ways to look at all the different waveforms, guys, that you have per oscillator slice. I mean, there's 2 slices, then you can modulate. You've got the size of the razor. We're not going to get into the sounds because this is still a preview. They're hoping to bring it out in October. We know how development takes time, and sometimes it takes longer than you originally planned, but I think they're in a really good track considering they're at this state right now. Someone was saying they hope it's reasonably priced. I think that's as safe to say it will be.
I think it is.
Good.
We still haven't quite settled on that.
Yeah. Don't have to announce it. It's not October yet, so that's totally cool.
Yeah.
I
think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'm just, I should also point out that the wonderful sense of humor that is in all of Mach's products, you can change the interface to be all sorts of different color themes, of course, as well. Let me get back to one of these like moonlight or fire. Fire would be cool. Not only that, but check this out. Of course, languages. All the languages, including Egyptian, Klingon, Old Norse, are available. So if you want your mini Moog in Old Norse, there you go. You can do it.
Yeah, if we didn't have enough stuff to prove our nerdiness already.
It's like the ultimate level of nerdiness. It's like nobody else goes to Klingon. So, I mean, that puts you guys in a pretty special field of uniqueness, if you ask me.
Yeah, we're pretty nuts over here.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention another thing about that pricing and segue into something else.
Yes.
So the thing about the price is we want to make it affordable along with this other thing that we're offering. And we are doing this collaboration with the Bob Moog Foundation to present a mini Raise sound bank for sale. And all the proceeds from the mini Raise sound bank are going to support the foundation and the work that they do. For the viewers that don't know, the Bob Moog Foundation is run by his daughter, Michelle Moog Kusa, and their mission is to preserve all the archives of schematics and papers that Bob produced in his lifetime, and also to inspire new generations with the science of sound. So they have this thing called the Bob Moog Sound School that, in normal times they would go out to schools and, have kids play with synthesizers and learn about, audio engineering stuff, electronics, really, really great program. In these times, they have some sort of classes for kids to get excited about sound on YouTube. So if you go to their YouTube channel, you can see a couple of their classes. They're not like, synthesizer based necessarily, because it depends on what the kids have at home to work with. But it's all part of that same mission of trying to, inspire the next generation of developers, because they've certainly inspired us, as evidenced by our mini Raise there. The mini Moog was such a wonderful design, and for me personally, I started when I was a kid. My first synth was a Moog Prodigy that my dad was super cool, and he bought it for me when I was, when it was like brand new. I think it just come out that year. And fortunately, he found like a used one, but it's still like super expensive.
Right.
And I got, really excited about it. I learned all about LFOs and envelopes and filters and oscillators, all from that first Moog synth that I had.
Right.
And so, we owe this giant debt to Bob Moog.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to be able to, do this finally. Like, we've been talking about collaborating with Michelle for a long time, and
here you go.
To finally be able to, do something to help support the foundation.
Absolutely.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah. I'll be contributing patches for it. So
yes, thank you so much.
Of course.
It's awesome. And thank you for donating to that cause.
Of course. My pleasure.
So going back to the pricing again, I want to make sure that we make both of these affordable. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure where that ends up yet, but we totally understand that we want people to be able to play with it.
Right.
And also be able to support the foundation.
Well,
so there's my 2 cents on that one.
Yeah. No, it will be totally something everybody will want to be a part of. Just to get your hands on something that kind of has a familiar layout. I started with a mini Moog. My mom took one on trade at the music store and brought it home, and here I am with this, 3 oscillator monster. She traded it to someone else, sold it for like $400. And it's one of the big tragedies of my life is that I don't have that anymore. But
oh man,
I have a Moog Voyager behind me, which is a very nice relative. But that interface and layout is so familiar to so many. So to have taken that and then, like, what if a mini Moog and Wave Razor had a baby? Here you go, mini Raise. It's very exciting. Well, guys, go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, it's a wonderful analogy.
That's what it is. It's, you've got the complexity of WaveRaiser, but boiled down into something that we're more familiar with. I think I spent a lot of time trying to get into WaveRaiser, and there's just so many, Lord of the Ring endless labyrinths you can get into. So it's nice to see it presented in a more approachable, tactile way that we're familiar with. I think that's going to be
I had
awesome.
mentioned this recently to Taiho as a little anecdote, if you will. And you're right, WaveRaiser is crazy deep, and it takes a long time to do patches. The flip side is you can pretty much do anything you want.
Right.
It's a lot of effort to do that. And Taiho had this, this interface is Taiho's, it's his design. It's what he thought of. And, in the beginning, I was a bit skeptical that this would really work out. And as I've been, coding, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to trust you on this one. And let's just do this.
Right. Move forward.
This is going to be the experiment where I just do kind of what you say. And it's been 90% that, there's some of my influence in there as well.
Yeah.
But I must say, as it's been coming together and as I'm putting together a patch, and it's incredibly fast.
Yes.
I could just bang, 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 bang. And it's like, oh, I've got this, incredibly complex sound that took me 5 minutes.
Right.
It's really worked out. So
yes.
I've been pleasantly surprised. It's been.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a big plus boom. I mean, basically from what you explained to me, Taiho, that, or Rob, you can answer this too. Inside of Mini-Rais is basically WaveRaiser. In a way,
essentially, our engine is
there.
Hood, and as you know from WaveRaiser, there's a lot of combinations, but there's always these sweet spots. It's like if this is routed to that, or in the case of the ring math, we didn't need all of the variations that were in there. We just needed the good ones,
right.
The ones that really are really musically useful. And
right.
so we did that kind of across the board. We took kind of the best, most gratifying parts of the engine, and then brought that forward into this one, single panel interface where you can, and a lot of these controls automate what would take you 10 steps, in the deep engine of WaveRaiser.
Well, you've definitely done that. You can kind of follow the flow so much easier, and it's not multiple menu diving and so forth. So it's a win-win. I'm really happy for you guys to take and bring it out in this form. I think it's going to be something that a lot of people will be able to get their teeth sunk into and enjoy working with. So congratulations.
I think also one thing that makes us happy too, as we're kind of, dissing WaveRaiser's complexity a little bit, is that this doesn't replace WaveRaiser.
No, not at all.
This is another take on it, for that super deep thing. If if you need to have 40 LFOs all routed to a specific kind of filter or filter network that you've built, you can still do that stuff with WaveRaiser.
Yeah, no, I'm not dissing WaveRaiser at all.
Well, I was kind of dissing it in my explanation of how long it takes to do patches.
Well, that's just because of the options you have. If you want to have 12 oscillators, you can do it, But here it's like you have, sometimes limitations open up other doors of creativity in a different way. So it's just wonderful to have another way to approach sculpting something. And so I think you've done, from my time playing with it, you've done a great job of distilling out the things that give you lots of harmonic new territory that nothing else can go to, but it doesn't require quite the PhD school of understanding before you get there. So it's great.
Right. Well, coming from you, that's quite a compliment. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Yes,
of course.
Absolutely.
Well, congratulations. I can't wait. So October is the target, and we'll keep update with you guys. If you guys want to come on again and share anything, we're happy to host any news you want to share with everybody here. So thank you for taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we'd love to come back. Always a pleasure to say hi to you, Skippy.
Well, good. I can't wait till we can actually say hi in person. I mean,
it's been a while.
Yes.
It's been. We need to. Was it a Scotch bar we went to in Berlin?
The gin bar.
Gin bar. That was so fun.
And coincidentally enough, Michelle Mogkusa was with us.
Yes.
There. So it's one big happy family.
That was a big. I was going to say, you could say, yeah, that's where we started the plan for Mini Rays.
we should just say that.
Since there's photos proving it,
we should just say that's what happened. Yeah, we have the photos to prove it.
Exactly. Right. No, well, I can't wait to see you guys in person, but it's great to catch up. And again, I'm really happy with what you guys have been working on. It's wonderful to share that with everybody that checks into this channel. So the word will get out. Mini Rays is going to be a fun synthesizer to grab and sink teeth into around the world.
Awesome.
Good job, guys.
Thank you so much, Skippy.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Be well. I'll speak to you later.
You too.
Okay.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So there you go. Mini Rays. Look at this. Oscillator 1, 2, 3. The mixer. You've got the ability to do key tracking on oscillator 3. Here's the ring math they were talking about. There's 2 separate filters that you can work with. There's 4 envelopes. There's modulation targets, 4 for each of the envelopes, which can be set to all sorts of parameters, including all sorts of crazy ones like octave semitones, major, minor, all sorts of things we get to explore in the future. Really, really, really cool. So I'm happy that came together to show you guys about that. Let me check the chat over here real quick. Yeah, it's very fun to play with. I'm not going to get into the sounds right now because this is just to be a little preview to share what they're working on, get some excitement going, get the word out. But it's got some pretty cool capabilities to it. So I mentioned that I wanted to show you guys an interesting plugin. Let's go over to Logic for this one and see how this works. Here's Logic, which is running my microphone. I think I'm going to have to do a video at some point here showing what you have to do this level of have a webcam or a camera and the microphone and everything. I couldn't believe the stuff I had to set up, but it's working. So plugin wise, I'm going to come over here and let's go over here to SampLab. Check this out. This is a plugin that you can get from these guys. Let me find it. Samplab.com. It uses some rather crazy technology to do something really, really interesting. Let's play with it. So I'm going to show you something here. When I release the Chill Guitar Library in about 2 weeks, by the way, this coming week, we're looking, I think later this week. I think later this week we'll be able to release Unify 1.6. We've been having great results with the beta testers. Everything is going very smoothly. We've added some nice new features to Unify, which I will show you in a little bit. But shortly after that comes out, not at the same time. I need a little bit of time to deal with tech support when we do an update. We always have questions and so forth. But there's a Chill Guitar Library that will be coming out. And it's all these really cool guitar phrases, right? Let's see if I go like this, and I need to come over here to... Oh, let's see. I had to move all sorts of stuff around. Where's... I can't find it. Hold on a second here. Where's Chill Guitar Phrases? Oh, I know what I did. I put it into the Unify folder. So, along with the library of the phrases, I'm going to include all the samples as WAV files too, so that you can use them in applications like this or inside of Ableton Live, just to make it a more valuable library than to just have it just for Unify. And so if we go to like the 100, and now it's 61 guitar phrases. I have locked them up in tempo and then spit them out at 7 different tempos. So we could go to the 100 beat per minute, and here they are. I don't know if you... I don't know if you don't hear this. You might not hear this. Okay, let's play with this one. So this is loop number 9. So if I go over to Unify in Logic, I could say Guru Sampler, and it's opening up over here. Go to the samples and call up sample number 9, and there it is inside of Unify, right? Now, I'm going to go over here to the Sublab window, and that's right here, Sample Lab. And check this out. When you drag an audio file to this plugin, it goes to their servers, and their server helps them analyze and pull out the phrasing. It doesn't get the tempo right. It's buggy as far as that goes, so I have to adjust things after the fact. But check this out. You can now play. And if you click and drag, you can drag MIDI data over here. I'm at 100 beats per minute is where it's supposed to be. So say 100 beats per minute, and then I use Option to get this to be a little bit closer to like that. If I work with this enough, you can finesse it. I'm sure they'll probably fix this stuff so that it works better. But if we go here to 3 and T and loop, it will now play this audio file. Let me zoom in a little bit. As a MIDI file. Yes, it's MIDI data at this point. And what's crazy with it, let's see if I zoom over here. Let's have it, so I option just a little bit more. And then get back to 3, T, delete, loop. Right? And then what's crazy, this is the crazy part, okay? So if you open up and look at what's actually being played, MIDI-wise, you'll notice something interesting. It's all sorts of different velocities. It's pulled the entire phrase apart. And all these different colors represent velocity. And each velocity equals a different sample. So even if it's the same note, it can play up to 127 different velocities. So that's why it's limited to 127 phrase pieces to a loop. But you can go in and change around. You can change it. And what's really crazy is if you want to get really weird with this, take them all. Inside of Logic, there's a really cool page of event editing. And if you use Logic, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you change one value in the step event list, like say I change velocity to 72, if I hold down Shift and hit V, it will set them all to the same value. Or if I go to duration and I set it to one duration and then Shift V, it will set all the samples to the same duration for the length. Or I'll note or anything. You can like nail something to be the same. So now that I've set everything to the same velocity, and now change the velocity, So you can take these phrases of any audio, it will separate it into different velocities, and then you can mess it up. So when it comes to like making new source sounds and stuff like that, it's actually really, really a cool potential. They don't have the ability to change high quality. If you do this, you get a message from their server saying available soon. So it doesn't do mono or stereo, it's just mono right now. That will also pop up an error message. But the concept is simple. You drag over any audio file. So I could say, take this audio file, get the plugin so you can see it. It will analyze it. They need to work on their analysis for the length and the tempo and stuff like that, because it always thinks it's 157 beats per minute. And put it in. Don't import tempo because the tempo is wrong. And then let's go over here and resize this. And again, now you have a whole different... I don't even know what this one is because I didn't listen to it before I brought it in here. Hold down Option in Logic to scale it. So we'll go like this and get to be close to being in tempo. Like this. Command T. Split. Loop. Right? To the step editor, and just for fun, just shoot the whole thing down to be like a Shift V. Now they weren't intending you to be able to do this, but in figuring out how this works, I came across this. I was like, the places you could go with. Then go and quantize it. Then go to Unify. Shield guitars. Go to there's tons of drum grooves now. And off you go. So the places to take, it allows anything audio-wise to be with voices. I have no idea what it would do with other samples, but it's really, really fun. So if you haven't checked this out, it's kind of like Melodyne, but it's doing it. If you guys remember Recycle took each timing event and made it a separate sample. This is doing something similar to that, but instead of mapping it across the keyboard, all at the same, full velocity range, it's putting each sample into its own velocity window, which allows you to like take the whole phrase and make the whole phrase play at one velocity. And all of a sudden it's really weird. And off you go. So, and it's free. So if you don't have it, it's something to definitely check out. It's, there's all sorts of places they can go with this technology. It's pretty exciting. But the nice thing with this, because it is like this, now that it's like this, I can go to the tempo. And it has the same benefit as when you're doing this with Recycle. When Stylus RMX came out, and actually before Stylus RMX, when we were like chopping up drum loops for the Big Bad Beats library and so forth. This is in the days when Acid was the big thing on the PC that you could take and like layer 12 drum loops and they'd all be in sync. And it was cool, but there was some sonic artifacts. It's not as good as it is today. And so one of our big talking points was that, Groove Control is what we call the technology of dividing up the Recycle and making it stereo and so forth. It sounds so much better because it's actual samples. It's not calculating, speeding up and slowing it down. Same with this. I can speed up and slow this down. It's just playing the samples. So it's an instrument. It has some crazy fun stuff going on under the hood. You do have to have an internet connection at all times because when you drag an audio file into here, it's going to their server to do the math of what it's doing so they can analyze. I guess, I don't know if they're keeping track of all this stuff. Probably. But you can visit the website. There is also just a data folder, just FYI, that keeps track of all the samples that you have spit out. So if you want, you can actually go into this folder, and here's all the separate samples. You can make a weird drum kit with all these. There's all sorts of places to use this content. So very, very cool. Very, very fun and free. So SampLab is definitely something to check out. Oh, you can try the VST on their website without downloading it. That's cool. It's more fun to download because now you can put it in and, like, say, play everything at a velocity of this, and now it no longer goes to the different samples that play it properly. It's broken it, but it doesn't really fun. So it's free for now. I think they will keep this free and probably bring out a stereo high quality version, which has a whole lot of more abilities. I don't know if it's going to be a subscription or just a buy or something like that. So that's pretty cool. So that is something you should pay attention to and check out if you want to have, especially if you're into experimental stuff and you just want something cool, even in pop tracks and stuff like that. A little fun experimental thing is always nice. I was telling you a little bit about the Chill library. Let me show you a little. I was going to maybe try to make some stuff for it today, but because of my system and interface, I'm not going to do that. I'll be working on it when I can take my time and enjoy the it's a little bit tricky. I have to manipulate from the. I have a computer, keyboard, and a mouse, and a second monitor over here, but I couldn't get my Sony camera to work through HDMI, even though I bought the HDMI. Probably if I unplug it, it just feels very hot. See if I turned it on. We'll just do a test. We'll see if it shows up somehow. So OBS, Blackmagic Designs here. Let's see, where is it at? Well, never mind. It's too much work to try to figure out. But I can show you that we now have even more grooves, and there will be even more added this coming week. The 404 kit that came from the free, or the 808 kit that came from the free 808 day library. The Skippy 808 kit is in here. Sounds great. And some of the same grooves you'll find here, you'll find them done with different drum kits. So it's fun to combine them. And then add something from here. You can go to all sorts of fun territory rhythmic-wise. It's going to have a ton of basses, BPM basses, keyboard sounds, right? Retro Love Affair. More plucks. So we'll add a whole bunch more stuff. There'll probably be, I'm aiming at 30 basses, 30 right-hand sounds, because what happens is really fun. When you get to the BPM splits, these are where they're set up kind of like the OMG libraries I did for Omnisphere, where low C will play this groove, right? And you can go to the drum groove, and then go to the library, change it, right? So let's see if I go back here. We can go to all the, there's 4 different kits that come with. Here's the samples that come with this library. Let's see. Oh, you're over here. There's the phrase libraries themselves, and then there's 4 drum kits. The down-tempo Thrilla from Cloud City that's been modified to be a little bit more hip. I mapped it so that it follows. All these match the same note assignments, so you can change MIDI files easily on the kits. Hip Skip from Cloud City has also been updated, and the maps have been modified, so it's 2021. Hyper Liquid is a drum kit that came from Super Macho Drums. It's got all sorts of really cool samples, and it's also been modified for 2021 to sound different, so it's got a little... There's cool stuff in the samples. It's not just straight ahead samples. Here's Hip Kit. And as you can see, I separated everything out for these. So you have the kick, snare, and then the hi-hats and percussion as separate tracks. So you could easily process certain tracks different ways. Right? Got to have all the current dance stem trims. And you can add multiples easily. And then above that C is the bass. And it's a separate unify layer. So if you go to that bass part, you can easily... And then the right hand is also a separate layer. So you just open up this unify layer. And I think we're still going to get it so it can... Shane, we got to get it so it shows the library when we select, if we can. So I can change to any of the keyboards or pads. And then the fun thing with this is there's 61 guitar phrases. And so you can start this up. Go to the knobs, and this guitar phrase, this knob is doing a whole lot of cool stuff. It's now changing information in the interface to show you what the key is of the sample of the guitar. Around the chords. So even though it says F minor, you can play chords around it in the mode that it's in. So you can play F minor and B flat and C minor. If I go to this knob and I change it, it changes the groove. And up here you can see add distortion. Go out. So you can turn these into full songs with the controls here to bring the guitar part out, stop everything, bring it back in. You can do chill, dance. I've heard guitar phrases and little things. If you listen to pop radio, it's amazing how many loops are sneakily put into tracks in all genres, not just pop, but any of the chill stuff and so forth. It's great to have real players playing phrases. See, by having this change to show me the chords, there's so many of these loop libraries out there, and you just have to call it up, and they don't tell you what key it's in. They don't tell, or maybe they tell you the key. So many of them, you just don't have a lot of information and feedback. And here we have feedback information right in the interface. So I can go, this starts on B flat. So you know immediately before you even start playing, oh, it's going to be G. You know what it's going to be. I've got the same drum group going for the whole thing. But if you call up a different set, you could go, oh, I want to be at 120 beats per minute. It's the same phrases, but it's now 120 beats per minute. So let's see here. This needs to be 120. Oh, I'm in a DAW. That's what's going on. So if I go change my DAW to 120. Same rules apply. If you're working in a DAW, you need to have the tempo set to what it says right here at the end of the performances. So it gives you a really, really fun place. All the drum grooves, all the basses, and all the keyboard sounds make this something that everybody's going to enjoy to have lots of bonus stuff of. So I'm trying to fill it up this week. It'll be filled up with a lot more content. But that's coming. And now let me show you real quickly, and then we're out of here. Unify 1.6. As you could see, we have a lot of really cool things to support this library added. It took a lot of work to get to where we actually have, if I hold down Option and click here, we have things such as variation now inside of Unify. To get it to where it could do that, we have sample select, which was not available as the modulation source, is now available. So you can have it not only call up, you can call up the sample map, but I have, let's see if I move this over down. Let's shrink this really quickly. If I go like this, as I spin, see this list of samples, as I change this, it's changing inside of Guru Sampler and inside of the interface of Unify to be in sync. So it took a lot of work on Shane's part to get this to work this way, but it works and it's great. So you can spin and it's always going to be right there with what's supposed to be chord-wise. So I can see that and go E minor. So I'm going to start. So it's fun to have these to jam with and play with, more than just calling up something and now you have to play. You have a guitar player that can start, and now you can improvise with what they're playing. So it's been really fun. I've really enjoyed playing with them. I think you will too. So that's going to be coming. So that ability is there. The other thing that we've added, we've had since the last couple updates, the ability to play and not play layers. Let me see something. For some reason, my script is not quite right. So let's go here. Mega Magic Pads. Oh. Did I not get that ready? Let me see something. Finder. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I didn't prepare MegaMagick. I was going to show you MegaMagick Pads 2 because it has the components, but it's not installed on this computer right now. But the ability to enable and disable layers is really handy. It's a different type of, I'll show you the difference. Let's go over here to the templates. I think I have some set. Let's just do it this way. Let's go init. Let's make up a nice keyboard sound, starting with like something like this. But let's do this. Let's hit init one more time and load it as a new Unify layer. So instead of being multiple layers, it's just one object, one Unify plugin. And then I'm going to go over here and I want to add this as a new Unify layer for the pad. And why aren't you playing? And hold down Option. Let's say we had to have a little BPM, something playing along with it. So we go BPM. Let's turn this down just a little bit. Let's say BPM. Let's have the Optimatic Wave Dance as a new Unify layer. Right? So we have this thing playing, it's 3 layers. If I want, I could turn off by just going like this. And this, I've turned off these 2 layers. They're still playing, but they won't get any more MIDI data. So now I'm gonna play new notes. So I can add these at any time. They won't start playing till I get new notes. So just got to click the little MIDI activity lights. It's really, really cool. If I was to try to do this with our normal mute and solo, you would notice a big difference because now I want to mute this guy and mute this. It kills him immediately. And then they're back on immediately. So having the ability to turn on and off right here means this is on and off for actual note MIDI data. And so by being able to turn off the listening to MIDI data, gives you the ability to do stuff like this, which is really handy. And the crazy stuff is, I'm not sure why it's not working. So let's go hide. To Unify. Oh, I don't have any, I don't have the configuration files. For some reason, this Unify that I installed didn't have that in it, so I don't have it. But when you use the configuration files, you can use hardware to enable and disable MIDI. On top of that, Chain has gone the next step to where you can actually use key latch on a keyboard to turn on and off layers. You can say, this note is set to enable and disable playing a certain layer. So in a live situation, you can have notes that can control the turning on and off of parts, whether they're all set to one thing or not. Also, all of this now shows up when we go into the link parameters. All of this now shows up in the list for everything. So if I go to, there's variation, which is the parameter that's up here in the interface. So if you have a text file, then variation will show you the information. When you go to instrument, you now have the ability to go MIDI enable and MIDI toggle. Toggle is what you'd use for keys because that way it's not dependent on the state. You play that note, it's going to toggle it to the opposite of what's currently at. Whereas MIDI enable says 127 is on, 0 is off. And so you have that for each layer. MIDI effects as well. It's wonderful. It's great stuff. On top of this, the other thing that's coming to UniFi 1.6 is the ability to scan all of your different plugins, whether it's VST, VST3, and audio unit, and then use a simple remove redundant plugins, we call it, which allows it to go through and quickly remove VST3 or audio units if a VST plugin exists. And so it allows you to scan all of your plugins, and because like a lot of companies now bring out VST3 and not VST2. And it's hard to keep track of who's brought out what in what format. And so now you can just say scan VST2, VST3, and then remove redundant. And that way you have all of the plugins that are currently in your system available to work with. It's wonderful. Works very well. We're not having any problems in that regards. Yeah, key switches is the toggle for the MIDI enable. So that way you can play a note to toggle between this on and off state for different layers, stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay, you guys like that. Big shout out for Shane. Everybody, let's do our shout outs. We haven't done a shout out for Shane in a while. Shout out for Shane. It takes so much work to keep track of all this stuff. So thank you, Shane. Keeps doing all this good stuff. Yes, and you'll be able to do that. I'm sorry I don't have the extension file set up, but you'll be able to have, because you have the key range here for notes, you can say C#1, right? So everybody the C#1, and then C1 can be between turning certain layers on and off. So you just push a switch and like it's going to kill 3 layers. So you can go between the big thing you need at the live show for the verse and the chorus differences and stuff like that. So it's going to be really fun. It's very, very cool to have all this kind of stuff. So yay for Shane. It's very fun. It's a similar thing to what Mach has. Taiho and Rob have a similar relationship where, there's musical background and passion between the two of them. There's musical passion with Shane as well. So it's very, very fun that, it's not that smart. Ken was asking some question about, yeah, no, it can't. So we had a question, will it remove expired demos? And it won't do that. You do have an option here to remove plugins whose files no longer exist. But yeah, demos are something you have to manage yourself because the demo state is something that's not shared in any way that we could pick up on, right? So, but anyway, that's what we wanted to cover for this live stream. Yes. Yay. Very, very fun. So that's in the works. There's a few other things in the works that will be revealed soon. I think next week could be a rather interesting live stream in a whole different direction. I'm just going to leave it at that. I can't, if you know me, I like to share information of what's going on and I can't, but there's some really cool stuff. I've been working very hard to do some really interesting things in something that's unexpected. So hopefully next week all will be revealed and I can show you live. I will tell you this, it has to do with hardware, not software. So get ready for kind of a little bit, Skippy's going someplace different a little. But at the same time, we'll be working on the library coming out too. So it's very fun. Great to have all these drum grooves. I'm working on making a whole lot more drum grooves, going through and listening to all sorts of radio hits and chill tracks and giving ourselves grooves so you guys have tons of grooves to play with because it's so fun to have so many cool grooves to work with inside of a library. And so we're going to have you covered. These are very, very, they sound great in a mix too. It's all great, great stuff. So Anyway, shout out to everybody. Let's do our shout outs wherever in the world you are at. Hardware version of Unify, no, it's not Unify related. Oh, cool. Well, we'll be showing a Rocky Mountain Sound unified library next week, I think, if it's ready. How about different time signatures for drums? Yeah, I could do some different time signatures. It's just, you know, a lot of that stuff I leave up to people. If people love time signatures, then hopefully they know how to program time signatures. Because once you get to like different time signatures, it's like, okay, which time signature? Yeah, if you want to write me an email asking me which types of time signatures and what type of grooves in that time signature, because, you know, there's all sorts of alternate time signatures, but for what genre, you know, and how does that apply to chill guitar phrases? All the guitar phrases are 4/4. So I don't think for this particular library, I'll be doing time signature alternate stuff, you know. Please make a video showing how the hell we keep up with you. Oh my gosh. That's cute. Very cool. Yeah, but seriously, if you will write an email to unifysupport@plugandgroove.com, give us some information on type signatures and genres. I can work on something for a future library. I'm always working on drum stuff. I have a crazy drum library that will be releasing later this year of incredible drums recorded in garages downtown Portland that ring out for like forever, that sound incredible. So that will definitely be a library I will do multiple time signatures and all sorts of crazy stuff for, okay? All right, shout out from everywhere. Yeah, shout out from PDX. Sorry for this video production being a little bit different. I never could get my Sony connected through HDMI. Otherwise, I'd be facing the other way. As it is, I'm looking at my MacBook Pro. And yeah, its fan is running pretty high right now. It's working very hard. It's amazing how much data has to be coming in and out to do a live stream like this. France. I love that. Quebec. Good to see you, Pierre. Welcome. Frankfurt, Germany. Hi, Zion. Samurai. Oh, cool. Colorado. Yorkshire, UK. From Holland, Michael, good to see you in Holland. Hello, Holland. LACA for Trash Can. Right on, brother. West Coast. Shout out from the Netherlands, from Bram. Good to see you, Bram. All right. So many guys here. That's really cool. So, yeah. It's been a fun stream. Again, next week's going to be interesting. I got a lot to do between now and next week. So, hope you get your computer. Yeah, computer is at a shop. It's just basically replacing the SSD. Remember, on computers, it's not if they will go down, it's when will they go down. And I had all my data backed up, so I didn't lose anything per se. Nothing that of importance was lost. It's just the computer, which is able to work pretty hard. It does not sitting there in the corner being pretty quiet. I'm surprised my MacBook Pro, this is a 16-inch Intel MacBook Pro. It's noisier than I thought it was once you start to push it. If you get into doing Photoshop work, that too will also get it to get its fans running, but much quicker when you're doing streaming, video camera input, output, audio, all this stuff going on at a high bandwidth. It's a lot of work, but it made it. So we made it to the end. Great. You guys are all very welcome. You should get a secondary. Well, so here's the thing. We're in this weird moment in history where Apple really, yes, they have fast computers. The new M1 Macs are great. We all know they have Mac M1X, Mac M2. There's like 3 Apple events this coming September. So I was almost going to go buy a Mac Mini, but I'm still limited. This has 4 ports. I mean, I don't know if I can show. Let's see if I go like this. Check this out. See if I go like this. I have this crazy, I don't know, see if I can get to where you can see it. Look at this. I hope I don't break something. I have this. This is connected to my Mac for USB. It has 2 HDMI cables. It's got all these USB cables. It's got USB-C on the back for the audio. It takes up 2 connectors on the MacBook Pro. So of the 4, there's 2 gone. Then I have another connector for an HDMI input, and then another one for power. And just like that, that's everything I can do on this computer. It's gone. It's all used at this point. So we need, hopefully Apple will realize for the Pro versions that they will bring out more ports, so you don't have to work quite this way, because I'm literally using all 4 ports and every plug on these interface boxes that I've bought in order to do what I'm doing in a live stream. So it's a lot. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. Check this out. Spectrasonics tweeted this a little while ago. Orba. Let's see if I go here on here to drum kits. If just to show you real quickly, because it's cute and silly, you have to go over here to HDMI set, your audio MIDI setup. You turn on Bluetooth. Let's see. So if I turn this on, right? There it is. If I say connect, I now have a device that I can use to play anything in the computer world. Let's see, go like this. See these pads? They're touch sensitive. So you can and it has different modes wise. It has actually, if you use its internal speakers, it can. And it's got software for your iPad, but it's a wireless Bluetooth MIDI device. So if you wanted to get more information on this, let's go over here to let's see here. Artiphone. Here it is. So it's artiphone.com. It's pretty fun. I'm not sure how much more beyond a toy it is, but it's a very cool alternate device. And if you're playing live and you want to have something you could be playing, you can be playing shakers and tambourines and all sorts of things. And then change to be playing claps and all sorts of, I mean, for live and so forth, it'd be super cool and useful. But it's Bluetooth MIDI, so I could be anywhere in the room playing it, and it works just fine. So, see, I think I messed up MIDI somewhere. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention this really quickly to give them a little plug. It's very, very cool. So, Artiphone, thank you. I bought one. They didn't give it to me. I bought it, but pretty cool. And it works pretty easy when the kick to the trick on your computers, at least on the Mac, audio MIDI setup, and then you hit the little Bluetooth icon in the interface. I think my camera's blocking this, right? So, yeah, if I shrink this back down to size, shrink. If you're in audio MIDI, right, right up here, let's see, close. When you go to showing the MIDI interface, your MIDI studio, there's a little Bluetooth button right here where you can connect anything that it sees for Bluetooth MIDI. So you don't connect via the Bluetooth settings like you normally do on a computer. You go to the MIDI studio, and once it's set up like this, then I can see. Oh, I got it. There. turn down the volume, and now I'm using it as a controller. So it's still audio-wise a little bit, so turn it down a little. It can actually, if you shake it, it's sending out controller data. If you move, it's not like a 5G MIDI, like something from our friends with the really all that interface. It's not quite like that, but it's still pretty cool. $99. So anyway, there you go. Something fun to play. If you want something fun to play with, I can recommend this. It's fun. It has a recorder built in. It won't quantize what you play, but you can play the drum track. And there's all sorts of different sets of sounds that people have made available for it. So it can be a cool, resourceful tool. I thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining. This was fun. Sorry for the little loose on the setup because it's a different layout, but still worked. So, all right. Be well. Let me make sure we're done on the chat. You guys are very cool to stick around and be patient and have a good time. The art of fun is, it is touch sensitive. It is touch sensitive, so it is pretty cool. Does the center action of the orb also trigger MIDI? No, it's for changing modes. So if you push this, as you can see, it actually can send program changes. The chord one actually plays chords. It vibrates, so you got feedback. It's kind of cool. So you can interpret the program changes and make them your own program. Pretty cool. So, something to check out. So, actually, if you hit on the ground, it like triggers everything all at once or something like that. I've got there's an optional sleeve you can buy for it. Be aware, if you buy the optional sleeve, you don't need to buy the case because I'm having a hard time getting it to fit in the case with the sleeve. So it's one or the other. You can have the case. I bought both because I was silly. You can buy the case, but then you don't need the sleeve. If you have the sleeve, it takes it all. I can't get to work. I had to take the actual. It's got a cloth, a nylon string handle. I took that off. If I push really hard, I can get it to sort of fit in here and get zipped. As it's playing. No! So you can put it in with the case, but it's a stretch. It'll probably break it at some point because this is just a little bit tight. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's supposed to expand and get to fit it perfectly. There you go. All right. You guys are awesome. It's so good to see you all. We will see you next week for another fun get-together live stream. Don't forget, there's a sale at my website. It goes until the 1st. Midnight of the 1st, it ends. So save money. Open the red curtains on the webpage, and you'll see lots of stuff for sale. I think I'm going to go add a few more things for sale right now. So there might be some new things added. So go check them out. All right? Thank you. Hands together, head bowed. Good to see you. Be well. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.